Hello everyone and welcome to another Modswell video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different and playing on another game, Cyberpunk 2077, where I'm going to be taking a look at some of my favourite mods. To mod Cyberpunk I will of course have to be playing on PC, and I'm using a really modest little system too, so I'm just going to pop the specs up right now. For anyone worrying about Skyrim and Xbox, I have not abandoned you, I'm just trying some new things out. And with that being said, let's dive on into the video. As of update 1.5, the game seems to be a fair bit easier to run. If you're using an NVIDIA RTX GPU, then it runs even better because you've got access to DLSS. But what if you're running an AMD, Intel or GTX card instead? Well, you can install FidelityFX Super Resolution 2.0 like I have. This mod by Potato of Doom, which is a great name, will add an option to use FSR 2.0, which is an open source temporal upscaling solution designed to draw back some frames whilst allowing for higher graphical settings. As you saw at the start of the video, I have a lower end system. Before using this mod I had to play with low to medium settings to get a playable experience. With this mod installed I can turn up my settings fairly considerably and enjoy the game's design without sacrificing performance. There are still limits to how well this mod can work though. A lower end system can't go out running ultra everything. These are the benchmark results I got with and without FSR 2.0 for a reference. To install this mod, extract the folder into the main Cyberpunk directory which holds the game's exe. After you've done this, run the enable signature override file, accept the admin pop-up and then launch the game. You'll find the DLSS section in settings has been changed. Tweak the settings to find the performance that suits your needs. Moving on to mod number 2. I'm a massive fan of worlds with deep backstories. Cyberpunk for the most part feels like there are very few real characters, and then just a bunch of randomly generated NPCs with nothing about them. That's where Kiroshi Opticals crowd scanner comes in. This mod adds in an additional information section when scanning any character in the game. The NPCs and crowds will now have unique procedurally generated backstories that you can read through. This builds out the feeling that these people actually somewhat exist within the game world. What's also cool is how the appearance of the character you're scanning will somewhat determine their story, as characters generally dress in their faction colours. This works really well, leading to corpos having corporate style bios, nomad having nomad stories and so on. I definitely got bored of scanning people and only getting civilian for information. If you feel the same way, then this mod is definitely going to be for you. Simply extract the file and drag the R6 folder into the Cyberpunk directory. This mod will benefit highly from any mods that change the crowd experience, especially when it comes to adding further diversity. For my third choice, I'm going with Streetsyle, Immersive Fashion System by RMK. Clothing in Cyberpunk is a very flat feeling set of choices. I basically just pick what I think looks cool and I don't really care about much else. It didn't matter what I wore, so it barely had an impact on my game. With this mod installed, clothes are overhauled with their own stat values: body, reflexes, technical, cool and intelligence. These, when added to your own stats, can help push through skill checks, but it goes a lot further. The clothes are broken down into 4 styles: Entropism, Kitsch, Neo-Militarism and Neo-Kitsch. Each piece of equipment is granted one of those designations, which when used together give a significant bonus to their own stat values when it comes to skill checks. There is a simple formula for how all of this works. Every piece of clothing or armor you wear is given these 5 stats. These are added together and divided by however many pieces of gear you're wearing to find an average. You are not negatively impacted if you aren't fully equipped. As of version 1.4, this equation also leads into further build crafting, as every stat value comes with its own buff should you be higher than 3 at the end of the formula. The higher the stat, the bigger the bonus. These buffs for their skills are body, which adds an additional armor multiplier of plus 5, 15 or 25%. Reflexes buff the duration of Korenzikov by 20, 100 or 200%. Technical reduces the number of components required for crafting by 5, 15 or 30%. Cool reduces the prices for cars as well as payment check prices by 5, 10 or 20%. And finally intelligence, which will increase your quick hack RAM by 1, 3 or 6. On top of this, you also have to factor in style. However many pieces of the same style worn will grant you a bonus from 0 to 5. The buffs start after 3 matching pieces are worn and increase with every single matching piece, giving up to 5 bonus points on every stat when it comes to skill checks. Say for example you're wearing 5 of the same style, this would grant you 3 bonus points to any stat, 6 would give you 4, and so on. The final touch of this mod is the changes to how clothing can affect NPCs around you. Each of the clothes are categorized into one of the in-game factions, say for example Arasaka. Should you be wearing a set of clothes in their faction category, you would be harder for them to detect, and impossible for their cameras to. This can give you a huge advantage if you're trying to be sneaky, play a positive character, or just love the roleplay of it. It's worth noting that any suspicious activity will still alert the guards, so if you're doing something you might consider weird to do in public, well, true to real life, that's gonna grab attention. To install this mod you will first need RedScript. Once that's installed, extract your zipped folder into the game directory, and you're done. For my 4th mod I've gone with Lifepath bonuses and Gang-Corp traits. This mod is designed to give uniqueness to each of the groups, so every engagement has to be approached that little bit differently. This is done by assigning traits to the NPCs within the groups. These buffs are faction specific and are assigned in a way that makes sense. For example, the animals get a bunch of traits that help them fight hand to hand. For example, they're immune to control hacks, they can't be grappled, they're immune to electrocution and poison, they're resistant to non-melee damage by 50%, and they ignore 25% of the player armor. I'm going to leave a full rundown of the changes made in the description below. These changes make the combat feel far more diverse and interesting. Changing gear around is now necessary. Engaging in a different way and working out where to hit, with what weapon, against which enemy. There's a bit of a learning curve to it, especially at the higher levels of difficulty where making a mistake is that bit more costly. This mod is doing more though. Included are Lifepath bonuses, so the choices that you make on if you're Nomad, Corpo or Street Kid actually means something. Whichever you selected to be familiar with will be allied to groups that come under that banner, and opposed to ones outside of it. Should you find yourself fighting a group you're opposed to, then you only deal 80% damage. However, they damage you for the full amount. This gives them the advantage. Your upload time is increased by +1, and any quick hacks will also use up 1 extra RAM. Technically, this makes you somewhat weaker against the factions who are going to come after you. However, you're going to gain 1.5 times the street cred modifier for performing how you're supposed to. Inversely, if you're familiar with a faction, you'll find things quite a bit easier. You're going to damage them for 1.2 times. However, they're going to do the exact same to you. Upload time is reduced by 0.5, and RAM cost against them is actually reduced by 1, so it's easier to do the bad thing and betray your own beginnings. But you won't grow as fast as you only get 0.25 street cred. This is all supposed to emulate awareness when it comes to other factions, and it does work pretty well. It also makes the game a little bit trickier, which I really enjoy. The final thing this mod is doing is editing the loot on characters, again based on their faction's affinity to you. This mod adds in a decent chance of finding eddies. The amount you gain is based on a per level basis, with familiar groups netting you 5 per level and opposing NPCs dropping 2 eddies per level. Much like the last mod, you will need RedScript to get this thing going. Once you have it, extract this mod into the game directory, much like you have to every time. For my 5th and final mod, I've opted for what is likely already a fan favourite, Drone Companions. This mod is doing exactly what the name suggests. You will be able to craft and control drones, androids and mechs. To do this, you will need to loot the requisite crafting materials, which you will find in the loot pool from chests as well as fallen drones and vendors. You are also going to need the crafting recipes, which you will find at vendors. But we aren't quite done. You can't simply just roam around with drones without the correct tech deck. You can find these at most Ripper docks. The drones, androids and mechs can all be crafted in many different styles and rarities, much like the other in-game items. In fact, this mod is so well integrated, it does feel like it was part of the game. The tech deck also comes in different rarities, with the higher level decks being able to control more of the machines at once. The tech decks also have their own special hacks that you can perform on your own drones to buff them for a limited time. This mod has a tab in the mod menu, which will allow you to customize the health and damage of the machines. Personally, I set up for low health, high damage flying units, balanced android units, and high health, low damage mechs. I did this to make them each feel different, so I would choose to switch around machines for different scenarios. For example, if there were many enemies, I would often use mechs as tanky distractions. I like to use flying units against bosses to try and deal some quick damage early on. But all of that's down to your style now. This mod lets you do that. To install this mod, you will first need Cyber Engine tweaks, native settings UI, and RedScript. Once you have those, extract this file into the game directory and enjoy the new combat options. I think that's enough from me today. I'm going to be expanding the Discord server to allow for more games, so let me know if there's anything else that you want to see me play on PC. I have been modding like crazy over there lately. I'll also be upgrading my PC when I can afford it. For any of the Skyrim subscribers watching, don't worry, I won't be moving away from Skyrim. I just need a little bit of a break after 2 years of starting new games every single week. Eventually it starts to get to a person, and it's a testament to Skyrim that I could last this long. But I really do need to switch it up just a little bit for a few weeks. I want to expand out a little bit and test or try some new games out. Play some more Fallout on Xbox and maybe take advantage of the PC to show the differences in mods and how things work. As my brother keeps saying, I'm Modswell, not Skyrim's well. He's annoyingly proud of that one. If this video's been helpful, I would really appreciate those likes, comments, and of course subscriptions. Especially as changing game for even one video can really damage the algorithm. But that's for me to work out. You've done your part and watched this far. So thank you for coming, and I really hope to see you in the next one.